It's Friday, and you know what that means. News of the week. News of the week. News of the week. News of the week. And now for the news. This week, the world has proven that we can once again be a place of joy and overlook some of the insanity that is thrown our way on the daily basis. So I'm going to cover some positive news this week. I am going to ignore that Iran is going to be receiving up to $300 billion in a rebuild fund, which is just slightly more than the maligned $1.7 billion Obama gave. I'm also going to ignore the new Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool's new Everglades swamp motif. That cost the American people $14.6 million. And in celebrating the good news of the week, I am certainly going to ignore the fact that the Secretary of Defense showed up for a NATO meeting dressed like a frat boy going to a kegger. So, with that in mind, let's highlight the news of Oathe. On Thursday, all of the former presidents were in Chicago for the grand opening of the Obama Presidential Center. It was a glorious day celebrating the fabric of America that makes our country unique. Obviously, there are scars on the Obama legacy, just like there is with every president. But I'll tell you, give me a president who stands with and for all Americans any day. I'm old enough to remember when that was the norm. Hopefully, one day we'll get back to that. It seems like there has suddenly been an abundance of architectural experts since seeing the Obama Center. Now, I'm not crazy about the architecture either. But if that's the worst thing anyone can say about the place, obviously they've done something right. I do want to congratulate the Obamas and all of the other former presidents and their first ladies. I want to thank you for your service to America. I never doubted you would lead by the Constitution and your oath when you were in the White House. In other news, earlier this week, a video surfaced of a young father traveling from Florida to Oklahoma with his young daughters. Along the way, the father stopped for his daughters to go to the bathroom at a quick trip in Alabama. The young dad found himself in a difficult situation. Two young daughters needing to go to the bathroom, and a dad who was the only adult with them in a strange city and a strange state. The dad knocked on the door of the women's restroom, and when he found it empty, he took his daughters in to do their business. After they had finished and the dad was standing at the sink washing his daughter's hands, Chad decided to open the door and announce his dissatisfaction and call the cops. The young man continued to wash his daughter's hands, and they were now frightened because of Chad. As Chad continued to berate them, the dad kept his cool. Thankfully, the young man and his daughters were able to talk with local police, and the situation was resolved. In a world full of Chads, give me a young dad taking care of his daughters any day. And finally, this week our sports department did a breaking news report on how sports is affecting our society. It goes without saying that over the last week we have seen the best of humanity on display. Well, the New York Knicks were jubilant after winning the championship of over 50-year drought. It was nice to see New York celebrate something. But more than their joy, the overwhelming triumph of the World Cup has renewed my faith in humanity. Now, overriding the snowflakes of the fear of diversity crowd, the World Cup has exemplified the bliss of diversity and how when we celebrate our differences, our unique individuality makes us all better. I hope in these days of sport, we're seeing what is possible in our world. Those who lead us, they need us to be in opposition to our neighbors. That gives them power. But together, we the people from throughout the world show time and time again that when we come together and learn from each other, our differences melt away and our unity is realized. That's the news for this week. I hope you all have a great day. And to all the dads, happy Father's Day. Now, go tell your mommy, your daddy, your brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, grandmas, and grandpas that you love them and you love your differences. Y'all have a great week. I love you and I appreciate you. Bye-bye.